Welcome to the Explainer. So glad you're here. We've all been there, right? Staring blankly at the screen, clicking the mouse, just wondering why a computer that used to totally fly out of the box now crawls like a snail. Well, today we're popping the hood. We're going to focus squarely on the mechanics of your hard drive and demystify exactly what's happening when your machine decides to take an unscheduled nap.
Think about it for a second. Why is your once lightning-fast PC suddenly stuttering? Why are programs taking forever to load? And what is up with those weird clicking and grinding noises while you're just sitting there waiting for a simple document to open? Well, your hard drive is working overtime. And honestly, it's probably suffering from a super common but very fixable digital affliction.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. The main culprit for this slowdown, it's something called fragmentation. Put simply, fragmentation happens when you save, edit, or move files around a lot. And over time, Windows ends up storing parts of the exact same file in completely different physical locations across your hard drive. Because these file pieces are scattered everywhere, the mechanical read and write head inside the drive has to travel way farther back and forth across the disk just to piece everything together. And yep, that's what causes those massive performance slowdowns.
So, to cure this digital slowdown, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the problem of scattered files. Second, we'll break down HDDs versus SSDs. Third, we'll show you exactly how to optimize your drive. And finally, we'll wrap up with some best practices for disk health.
All right, jumping right into Section 1, the problem of scattered files.
To really wrap our heads around what's happening inside your computer, it helps to look at the physical reality of digital storage. Just imagine a pristine bookshelf. At first, all the books in a series are kept perfectly neat and together. But, as time goes on, you take books out, you randomly add new ones, and newer books just get shoved into whatever empty gaps are left over. Eventually, the volumes of a single series get completely scattered across the entire shelf. So when you actually want to read that series, you're literally running all over the library just to gather the books. That is exactly what happens on a hard drive.
Now, mapping that bookshelf analogy directly onto a physical disk platter, take a look at the blue and orange blocks labeled as contiguous files. They're unfragmented, stored right next to each other in a neat, continuous arc. Beautiful, right? But then look at the fragmented file broken into those pink and green segments. They are shoved into totally different tracks and sectors. Every single time you want to open that file, the mechanical arm has to physically swing back and forth across the spinning disk to fetch each scattered piece. It's a whole lot of wasted movement.
Now, you might be wondering, did I do something wrong to cause this huge mess? Absolutely not. Normal, everyday computer usage is exactly what causes fragmentation. We're talking about normal stuff like installing and uninstalling programs, downloading and deleting files, editing huge documents or videos, processing heavy gaming updates, even the totally invisible creation of temporary system files behind the scenes. They all contribute to this digital scatter. And here is the ultimate before and after. On the left, that fragmented disk is just a chaotic mess of scattered blue, green, and red data blocks. But on the right, the defragmented disk provides some serious mechanical relief. During defragmentation, Windows hunts down those fragmented files, moves the pieces back together, reorganizes the free space, and optimizes the file placement. Everything is back in order, which vastly reduces the distance the hard drive head actually has to travel.
Moving on to Section 2, HDDs versus SSDs explained.
Okay, hold up. Before you rush off to defragment every device you own, we absolutely need to cover a fundamental difference between traditional hard disk drives, or HDDs, and the newer solid-state drives, or SSDs. As you can see here, HDDs have moving mechanical parts, which means fragmentation heavily impacts their speed. So defragmentation, it's a necessity. SSDs, on the other hand, have zero moving parts, none. They access data almost instantly, regardless of where it's stored. Because of this, fragmentation barely impacts their speed at all, so they simply do not need traditional defragmentation. Instead, they use a completely different optimization method called trim.
Which brings us to a massive twist, and honestly something you absolutely must remember. Do not manually defragment your SSD. Seriously. Because an SSD has limited write cycles, running a heavy old-school defragmentation process can actually cause unnecessary wear and tear on the drive, physically shortening its lifespan. Thankfully, modern versions of Windows are smart enough to recognize SSDs automatically. They use that trim command instead, which safely maintains your SSD's performance without all that extra wear.
All right, Section 3, how to optimize your drive.
So, let's look at exactly how to use the built-in Windows tools to fix this problem for your older drives. Microsoft actually makes this incredibly straightforward. Here's your simple 4-step journey. Step 1, open the Start menu and just search for the words defragment or optimize drives. Step 2, select the drive you want to check, which is usually going to be your main C drive. Step 3, click Analyze. And Step 4, click Optimize.
Once you're inside the interface, you can clearly see your connected drives listed right there by their letter. It shows the media type, so noting whether they're a solid-state drive or hard disk drive, and their current status, which gives you the exact percentage of fragmentation. And right down at the bottom right, you'll see those two target buttons we mentioned, Analyze and Optimize.
Now, for those of you who prefer navigating through the File Explorer, there's totally an alternative route. You can simply right-click directly on your local disk drive, select Properties right at the bottom of the menu, click over to the Tools tab at the top, and boom, right there you'll find the Optimize and Defragment Drive section. Clicking Optimize from here launches the exact same utility we were just looking at.
It's really important to clarify the difference between these two functions, though. Clicking Analyze simply scans the drive to check the current fragmentation percentage. Think of it like a quick checkup. It doesn't actually move any files around. Clicking Optimize, however, commits to the full process. That's when it actively starts reorganizing files, shifting pieces back together, and grouping free space to really improve your system's overall speed.
So, if you do click Optimize, how long are you going to be waiting? Well, it heavily depends on your drive size, its speed, and basically how old your computer is. Generally speaking, light fragmentation takes just 5 to 15 minutes. Moderate fragmentation might take 20 to 45 minutes. But if you're dealing with heavy fragmentation on an older, really massive drive, yeah, expect it to take over an hour. You might want to go grab a cup of coffee for that one.
And that brings us to Section 4, Best Practices for Disk Health.
Solving a slowdown in the moment is great, but long-term preventative maintenance is how you actually keep your machine running smoothly for years. So how do you know when it's actively time to run an optimization pass? Keep an eye out for these classic symptoms on older machines: a generally sluggish startup, programs that take absolutely forever to open, agonizingly long file load times, constant disk activity even when you aren't really doing anything, annoying stutters while gaming, and incredibly slow file searches. If you're experiencing those on an HDD, yeah, it's definitely time to optimize.
Beyond just defragmenting, here are some rapid-fire habits for general disk health. First, routinely clear out junk files using built-in tools like Disk Cleanup or Storage Sense. Second, keep Windows updated. Those updates really do often improve storage optimization and system stability. Third, consider using smart monitoring tools like Crystal Disk Info or Hard Disk Sentinel just to keep an eye on your drive's overall physical health. And finally, and this is absolutely critical, if your hard drive ever starts making repeated clicking or grinding noises, do not defragment it. Those sounds mean mechanical failure is happening right now. Stop what you're doing and back up your data immediately.
Also, here is a magic number you really need to keep in mind: 15 to 20%. You should always strive to maintain at least 15 to 20% of free space on your hard drive. Why? Well, if a drive is completely stuffed full, Windows literally doesn't have the physical room on the disk to shuffle those fragmented file pieces around during the optimization process. It desperately needs that empty space to act as a sorting area.
Now, before you go adding another weekly chore to your calendar, take a deep breath. Modern versions of Windows 10 and Windows 11 actually automate this entire process for you on a weekly basis, right in the background. Your machine is already working to keep itself tidy. And hey, for the IT administrators or power users watching, you can even automate this further using command line tools. Just type defrag C: in the command prompt, or use the optimize volume command in PowerShell for your custom scripts.
Which leaves us with a provocative, maybe slightly philosophical thought to end our explainer today. We've seen how brilliantly our computers can scan their own hardware, locate their own scattered files, and meticulously reassemble their own digital messes in the background while we sleep. So if our machines are getting this good at automatically organizing their own internal chaos, how long until they start automatically organizing the rest of our lives too? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Keep those drives healthy, and we'll see you on the next explainer.